My name is Clara. I am 59 years old, and I am rich. I live in a big house and own a beautiful art gallery. The world looks at me and whisper one name, Sugar Mommy. But they don't know the secret I carry. They don't know about the 40-year-old promise I made, a promise I am finally trying to keep. My art gallery was a gift from my late husband. The walls are covered in beautiful paintings. Each one tells a story of passion and dreams. But for years, my own story felt finished. I walked through the quiet rooms, surrounded by beauty, but I felt so empty inside. I felt lonely. This quiet life often reminded me of a long time ago, before the money, before the gallery. When I was young, I loved a different man. He was a young artist. He was brilliant, but he was very poor. His hands were always covered in paint, and his eyes were full of dreams. But my family said no. They wanted a safe life for me. So, I chose a different life. I married a rich man. I thought I had forgotten my first love. I truly thought I did. But then, one afternoon, a young man walked into my gallery. His name was Daniel. He was only 24 years old. He showed me his work. I looked at his paintings, and my heart started to beat faster. They had the same fire, the same bright hope I remembered from long ago. But Daniel's face was sad. He told me he was going to give up painting. He had no money left to buy supplies or pay for his small room. In that moment, I did not see a stranger. I saw my past in his eyes. I saw a beautiful dream that was about to die. I knew I could not let that happen. Not again. I will help you, I said. My voice was firm. That day, I bought 2 of his paintings. The next day, I found a small studio for him. I paid the rent for the entire year. He looked at me with so much gratitude. A warm feeling filled my chest, but I pushed it away. I told myself it was just business. It was a good investment. I was just a patron, helping a talented artist. That is what I kept telling myself. For a few weeks, everything was calm. Daniel worked hard in his studio. He painted beautiful pictures. Seeing his progress made me feel happy. I felt a deep connection to his art and to him. It was a feeling I had not felt in a very long time. Then one day, my daughter, Isabella, came to the gallery. She is a successful lawyer. She is very serious and cares a lot about our family's name. She walked through the gallery with a critical eye. Then she saw Daniel. He was in the corner, cleaning his brushes. Isabella looked at him, then at me. Her face was cold. "Mother," she said quietly, her voice sharp, "who is this boy?" I explained that he was a new artist. She did not smile. "People are talking," she said. "They see him here with you all the time. It is not good for our family's name." I felt a small knot of worry in my stomach. I tried to stay calm. "It's just art, Isabella," I said. "He is a talented artist. I am investing in his future." She looked at me for a long moment. I held my breath. Then, she nodded slowly. "All right, Mother," she said. "I trust your judgment." For a moment, I felt relieved. I let out a slow breath I didn't know I was holding. I told myself maybe she understood. I believed this was just a small problem. But a few weeks later, she came back. This time, her eyes were full of fire. She had a piece of paper in her hand. It was a copy of the lease for Daniel's studio. She had found out that I was paying his rent. She stood in front of me, her body tense with anger. "You lied to me," she said, her voice shaking. "You are not just buying his art. You are giving him money. You are paying for his life." She took a step closer. Her next words hit me like a stone. "Do you know what they call women like you?" After she left, the gallery felt cold and empty. The beautiful paintings on the walls seemed to watch me in silence. I walked over to Daniel's newest painting. He called it The Unfinished Symphony. It was full of bright, hopeful colors, but now it looked sad. I touched the canvas. Her words echoed in my mind. Every day, they felt heavier. I never said anything to Daniel. I did not want him to see my pain. I thought her anger was the hardest part, but I didn't know something worse was coming. That was only the beginning. Then, one evening, everything changed. Isabella invited me to a dinner party at her home. She said it was to celebrate a new business deal. She also invited Daniel. She told me she wanted to apologize to him. I felt hopeful. I thought maybe she had finally accepted him. Little did I know, this was all a trap. The party was elegant. People were laughing and talking. Daniel looked a little nervous, but happy. After the main course, Isabella stood up. She tapped her glass with a spoon. "I have an announcement," she said, her voice clear and loud. The room went silent. Everyone looked at her. She smiled a cold, thin smile. She held up her phone and showed everyone a picture on the screen. It was an old, black and white photo of a young man with kind eyes and paint on his shirt. "This is Daniel's father," she said. My heart stopped. The man in the picture. It was him. It was my first love. My wine glass slipped from my hand and shattered on the floor. All the air left my body. I looked at Daniel. His face was white like a ghost. He just looked at me, his eyes wide with confusion. He did not understand. Isabella's voice cut through the silence like a knife. "This boy is no artist," she said, pointing a finger at Daniel. "He is a liar. He came here to take our money. He came to finish what his father could not." All eyes were on Daniel. He looked completely lost. He shook his head slowly. "No," he whispered. "That's not true. I don't understand." He turned to me, his eyes begging for an answer. "Clara, what is she talking about?" My daughter looked at me. Her eyes were cold as ice. "Tell them the truth, Mother," she commanded. "Tell them how this boy tricked you." A heavy weight settled in my chest. A weight I had carried for 40 years. In my mind, I was a young girl again, full of hopes and dreams. If only I had been brave 40 years ago. If only I had fought for my own life. If only I had chosen love over money. But I didn't. And now, the past was here, in this room, for everyone to see. I took a slow, deep breath. I stood up from my chair. My body felt weak, but my spirit felt a sudden strength. My voice was quiet, but it was strong and clear. It filled the silent room. "Isabella is wrong," I said. Everyone stared at me. "Daniel did not lie," I continued, looking directly at my daughter. "I did." Isabella's confident smile disappeared. Daniel looked at me, even more confused than before. "I knew who he was from the very first day," I said. The secret was finally out. I felt a strange mix of fear and relief. The room was completely silent. I could hear my own heart beating. I looked at my daughter. Her face was a mask of shock and disbelief. "I didn't help him because he tricked me," I explained. My voice did not shake. "I helped him because of a promise I made a long time ago. I helped him because your grandfather, my father, destroyed his father's life. He made sure a poor artist could never marry his daughter. He took away his dreams." I looked at all the shocked faces in the room. "I helped Daniel," I said, my voice finally breaking a little, "because it was a debt I had to pay." I did not cry. There were no tears left. After 40 years of silence, my body just felt heavy, like a stone statue full of untold stories. I sat back down, my hands resting in my lap. The truth was finally free. The silence in the room was heavy. No one knew what to say. I looked at Isabella. Her face completely changed. The pride in her eyes was gone. The cold anger disappeared. All I saw was shock, pure shock. She came here tonight to expose a liar. She wanted to protect her family's name. But the story she found was not about a greedy young man. It was about her own family. It was about her own grandfather's cruelty and her own mother's secret pain. She didn't find a scandal. She found a tragedy. I saw her hands begin to tremble. She slowly lowered the phone. The picture of Daniel's father vanished. She looked at me, and for the first time, she really saw me. She saw the 40 years of sadness I had hidden behind a smile and expensive clothes. She saw the truth. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. She just stared at me, her eyes filling with a new kind of understanding. A long, painful silence filled the space between us. It was finally broken by the sound of a single tear rolling down her cheek. In that one tear, I saw a lifetime of misunderstanding finally wash away. The party was over. After the party, the guests left quickly. Daniel looked at me, his face full of confusion and hurt. He did not say a word. He just turned and walked out into the night. I stayed sitting in my chair. I felt empty. I did not move for a very long time. The next few days, the gallery was quiet. The phone did not ring. Daniel did not come. Isabella did not call. I walked through the empty rooms. The silence was louder than any angry words. I thought I had lost everything. I had lost my daughter's respect, and I had lost Daniel's trust. Then, one afternoon, the gallery door opened. It was Isabella. She walked in alone. She did not look at me at first. Her eyes went straight to Daniel's painting, the unfinished symphony. She stood in front of it for a long time. She looked at the bright colors and the hopeful strokes. Finally, she spoke. Her voice was soft, not cold like before. "He is really talented, isn't he?" she said. I just nodded. I did not know what else to say. She turned to face me. Her eyes were red. It looked like she had been crying. "I am so sorry, Mom," she whispered. The words were quiet, but they felt heavy. I didn't know. I was so wrong. I was so worried about our family's name. I never thought about your feelings. Can you ever forgive me? In that moment, I knew everything had changed. It was the first time she had ever looked at me as a person, with my own story and my own pain. It was the first time she saw me as Clara, not just her mother. I cried then. They were not tears of sadness, but tears of relief. We hugged for a long time. The wall between us, built over years of secrets and pride, finally came down. The next day, Isabella and I went to Daniel's studio together. I was nervous. I did not know what to say, but Isabella spoke first. She apologized to him. She explained everything. It took time, but Daniel listened. He saw the truth in our eyes. He forgave us. Months passed. Our lives were different. A new story began for all of us. Daniel and I still had a professional relationship. I was his patron, his mentor. But now, it was built on truth and respect. He was not a secret I had to keep. He was an artist I was proud to support. But the real change was with my daughter. Isabella saw Daniel's talent. She used her skills as a lawyer to help him. She became his business manager. She organized exhibitions for him. She treated him with respect and kindness. She treated him like a friend. One day, I was walking through the gallery. I saw Isabella and Daniel standing in front of his finished painting. It was no longer called the Unfinished Symphony. He had renamed it Clara's Promise. They were laughing together, talking about the future. I watched them from a distance. A deep feeling of peace filled my heart. The gallery was no longer an empty place. It was full of life, full of hope, and full of a new kind of family. In that moment, I knew my life was finally complete. Through all of this, I learned a very important lesson. The world will always try to give you a name. It will try to put you in a small box with a simple label. They called me a sugar mommy. But a label is just a word. It cannot tell the story of your heart. It cannot explain your regrets, your hopes, or your love. Only you can do that. And my story was never about money. It was about a promise. We often see these stories as just tales, but they are mirrors reflecting our own lives in the modern world. We live in an age of labels and quick judgments, especially on social media, where a single word can define a person's entire identity. Clara's story teaches us two vital lessons. First, it reveals the profound danger of assumptions. Isabella built an entire reality based on the simple, cruel label of sugar mommy, without ever seeking the deeper truth of her mother's heart. In our own lives, this is a powerful reminder to pause before we judge, to listen before we speak, and to always look for the story behind the label. Second, this story is about the power of healing the past. For 40 years, Clara carried a secret that silently controlled her life and her relationships. True freedom for her came only when she found the courage to speak her truth. So, I invite you to think about your own life. Are you letting a label from others define who you are? Or are you letting a secret from your past hold you back from your future? Remember, your story is yours to tell. Don't let anyone else write the ending. Have you ever been judged unfairly by a label? Share your story with us in the comments. If this story reminds you of the importance of truth, please subscribe to Peak English Stories for more. Thank you for being here with us.